The Republican candidates really dialing it back. So did that help or hurt any of them for next week's upcoming primaries? Our political panel is here to weigh in. Democratic pollster and strategist Jessica Tarlov and Republican strategist and former communications aide for the McCain-Palin presidential campaign, Boris Epshteyn. So who won and who lost? We're going to ask our experts right here. Lots of people with their opinions on Twitter. Jessica, who do you think? Who won, first of all?
Well, who properly won for me is Marco Rubio, who I think showed again why he's running in this race.
For him last night.
Yes, I do think that the audience was largely pro-Rubio, and I'm not sure if that's just because of what he was saying.
Or home court advantage.
Yes, exactly. But I think that after a debate where Marco Rubio really lowered himself to Trump's level and went after him and, you know, elicited the awful hands moment from last week, that he did well to stick with his message, which I think is hopeful and forward-looking, and to show why he's a great debater. And he's so quick. And I think that he really is the best that the Republicans are offering. But I would also like to say that Donald Trump was a winner because Donald Trump always wins. His voters will stick by him through anything, and we saw that, you know, with the questions about the protesters at his rallies that have been beaten. He doesn't say that he elicits that violence, that he encourages it. He's actually said that he would pay their legal fees. Yeah. You know, the incident
he and the employee accused of doing it, or the person that works on his campaign, have both denied that.
Absolutely, and Michelle Fields, who the Fox audience knows well. I mean, she didn't invent those bruises, and this story is not going away. And a lot of people have talked about it, and I will reiterate: Trump has already lost 15 points with women that will continue to sink if you ignore violence. I mean, when you compare that to Ted Cruz firing his spokesman after he lied about Marco Rubio saying something, the fact that he's denying it, it's mind-blowing to me.
Yeah, and but there has been incidents of violent protesters at a lot of the campaigns, Democrat and Republican, in this
not
particular
on the same
race.
Level.
Yeah,
of course, the Democrat will say it's not on the same level,
loser
right?
here.
Well, tell me how it's the same
level. The winner is Donald Trump. Because he continues to lead. He's cruising toward the nomination. There's no question about that. And he had a good debate. He was more substantive. He was more presidential. He talked about uniting the party, which is what he needs to focus on now. What he's been focusing on really since Super Tuesday, maybe even a bit before that. So he was strong. None of the other candidates have a shot at this point. Now, Marco Rubio tried to out-Trump Trump, but he completely failed. And now he's going back to saying, I'm the nice guy. Well, we already saw that he's not. So when you're trying both sides of the coin, you're failing on both. He's now playing for the next nomination. Republicans do have a history of nominating somebody who was second in a previous nominating contest. So Rubio is thinking maybe he'll be the nominee in 2024. Yeah,
I do have a feeling that Trump will be answering more to those allegations today, though. Okay, so Jessica, winner, loser. Who did you think lost?
John Kasich, who I actually thought was the winner out of the Fox debate last week by coming out as the adult in the room. You know, he didn't get involved in the personal attacks, and the focus groups were resoundingly for him because he, you know, just went forward with his message of unity. He talked about how, you know, he's balanced budgets. He actually works with Democrats. I mean, John Kasich won 86 of 88 counties in Ohio, which is remarkable. He has over a 50% favorability rating. Ohioans like him, which is why I actually think he has a chance next week. But when everyone else is behaving, then John Kasich just isn't that interesting, unfortunately. So he's my loser.
Kind of fades away. So who did you think lost last night?
First of all, the viewers lost. It was a boring debate. It wasn't that interesting. I think the candidates are tired. There's been a lot of debates, and this is the third week in a row. There was a debate on a Thursday, so they're all sort of out-debated, and Donald Trump said that right after the debate was over. So it wasn't as exciting as it was. Otherwise, all three of Kasich, Rubio, and Cruz lost.
Really?
Because they didn't do anything to move themselves up in the polls. They didn't do anything to give themselves more of a shot.
I don't know. Well, people are saying, though, and I've listened to, you know, pundits last night, this morning, everybody has a different opinion, but different people have said almost each one of them won the debate and did a better job. And Rubio, you have to admit, did a better job than he did in the last debate.
Well, the goal is to not win the debate. The goal is to get more delegates and to be the nominee, right? So, yeah, maybe Rubio
did too late for him?
A little better. Right, and this is what, the 12th, 13th debate, and Rubio has been on every part of the nice, not nice spectrum, and he's never moved the needle. He's down by right about 20 in his home state.
Yeah, he said accusing people of flip-flopping on the issues, and he's kind of flip-flopped on his personality.
And on the issues.
A little bit,
you remember him on Amnesty? He's had a real tough time.
He's only down 8 points in the last poll in Florida.
We're going to have you both come back in the next half hour so we can continue that thought. But we have to toss over to Patricia right now. Patricia, there, both sides of the camp. So what happens in Florida and Ohio, and does anyone get enough delegates delegates to avoid a brokered convention. Our political panel is back. Welcome Democratic pollster and strategist Jessica Tarlov and Republican strategist and former communications aide to the McCain presidential campaign, Boris Epshteyn. Thank you both for coming back.
Thanks.
Got a little heated in the first half hour, but we love it. We like it. We like those opinions. Yeah.
I have more bad things to say about Donald Trump.
I have more good things to say. So exciting. We disagree. What a shocker.
Well, let's first of all take a look at this graphic I think we could pull up, talking about the brokered convention. You heard what some of the Republicans had to say. When voters were asked, specifically anti-Trump Republicans, how they feel about the brokered convention, 63% in support and 30% oppose it. Maybe not a big surprise since he's in the lead. Jessica?
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, no, it isn't a surprise at all. I mean, as passionately as pro-Trump supporters are, anti-Trump supporters are also that passionate.
I'm actually surprised that's not more.
I am too, actually.
If you're anti-Trump, you think it'd be 100%.
No, but there is an argument for democracy here, right? And the way that it's supposed to work. And if there is
it's supposed to be the voice of the people.
It's supposed to be the voice of the people. And right now, the voice of the people, though it's not as high as it usually is to get a nominee across the finish line, are saying that they want Donald Trump.
It's
and
50% in some, almost 50% in some states, 50% in some polls.
One time.
Two times, 49 and 47.
Or exactly. I mean, Donald Trump tends to average between 30 and 40%. Listen, he is the clear front runner. I think he has the most obvious path to the nomination. There are going to be a lot of people who are very happy about Trump being the nominee, and a lot are going to be very, very
So now
upset.
we're disagreeing about just how well Trump is doing, but he's obviously doing well.
And
the
a lot
reason,
could change.
Well, I mean, I could go back
change
to
after Tuesday.
It could, but it won't. He's likely going to win Florida. There are some outlier polls that have him under 10 points ahead of Rubio, but most polls have him 19, 20 points ahead of Rubio, and then Rubio will likely drop out, even though some advisors have been telling him to drop out ahead of time to save his political career. So Ohio is much closer, and very interesting to see what happens with Kasich.
Yeah, let's take a look at those polls as we discuss this. You were talking about Ohio being close. This is the latest Florida poll. We have Trump 43, Rubio 20.
Huge difference.
As you were referencing, huge difference. And then to Ohio, where it's not quite as large. And in fact, the last poll we had, look at that. Kasich up 34% compared to Trump 29%. Kasich, of course, being that being his home state.
The sitting governor and popular governor.
Very
now
popular.
Still plus minus 3.5%.
His approval ratings better in his home state than Rubio's are in Florida.
Well, of course, and there's a reason Rubio isn't running for re-election in the Senate from Florida either way, no matter what happens. Now, if Kasich wins, it's great for Trump. Why? Because then he stays in. So then it's a positive going forward. And after that, it will most likely be Trump, Cruz, and Kasich, and Trump will continue to be the leader and the most likely nominee.
Jessica?
I do agree with your analysis there. You're welcome. But I would like to say that those outlier polls.
Will you be voting for Trump too?
You could not pay me enough money to vote for that man. But what I will say is these couple of outlier polls that have Rubio only down in single digits. This has been an election of surprises. His margins, Trump's margins in Louisiana, for instance, were much lower than we thought. And people who are deciding late are deciding against Trump. And we do know that early voting has gone to Rubio.
That's been sort of an anti-Trump line, right? That if
they sent me my talking points this morning, and I'm just spewing them out.
Trump.
We actually did do some. Well, we did some other Fox News polling yesterday, and we asked a question that kind of relates to that, and that's the number of people, the percentage of people, and I'm kind of paraphrasing here, that support Trump 100% no matter what.
Right.
And then those who support Trump but maybe might change their mind did the same thing with Rubio, and the numbers were about the same. About the same number of people might change their mind for Trump, and the same number for Rubio. This coming out of Florida.
But Trump's support is calcified nationally, right? So his support now, his baseline is so strong, and let's not forget, it's not just Florida and Ohio. You're looking at North Carolina, at Missouri, at Illinois, very good, very delegate-rich states where Trump is leading a lot.
It's going to be a good day for Donald Trump. I do think that Rubio loses, but I think that Kasich could pull that out, and then he will stay in and continue to split this. And I know that the establishment forces, who maybe don't like Ted Cruz this much, you know, he's anti-establishment. He's painted himself as an outsider.
Yeah, that's what's interesting.
With insider, but it's the anything but Trump move. But the interesting thing looking at this as a Democrat is both of these two people lose to Hillary Clinton by, you know, upwards of 8 points.
Well, and all these polls Hillary Clinton might be losing to Bernie
She's
Sanders.
having some problems too.
But then that
goes back to the But it goes back to the voice of the people, and then they have to, you know, deal with the superdelegates
where she's overwhelmingly ahead.
For now,
many of whom are
Republicans
lobbyists.
have been going against each other. They have not turned at Hillary yet. When Donald Trump did, it was very successful. So we'll see what happens in the general. She's not somebody, Hillary, if she's the nominee, which we can presume, she will not turn out those millennials. She will have a big enthusiasm problem. The enthusiasm is 100% on the side of the Republicans with Donald Trump.
But she has been struggling with independents. That's where Bernie Sanders in these open primaries has been doing very well. But I would wager, I haven't decided how much, on the fact that independents and moderates will come out for Hillary Clinton if it's against Donald Trump. I mean, there will be a huge anti-Trump force there. So
I'll take that wager. Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania is going to be very good for Trump.
The opposite of that, some people saying. Well, thank you both so much. We love having you here in the morning. Boy, wake us up.
Back
Like
to bed.
it. Good stuff.
Thanks.
Thank you. Patricia?
Thanks, Heather. The top